على قبول. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Let's start with the very general question about why do you think ethics is, or bioethics is very important to be considered when conflict happens? Very general blanket. Why it's important to be ethical even in the case of conflicts?
Let me take a step back first and then to put a foundation for our discussion today. So to begin with, why do we need bioethics in the first place, right? Or what do we need to consider the ethical issues in our practice or in research? Given that my work, and by the way, this is one of the things that I wanted to highlight as well, that my doctoral project was about the research, the ethical considerations in research conducted in armed conflicts. And obviously my case study is in that. So kind of like I went in depth about the ethical considerations related to research. Given that from my previous experience as well, I used to work in research until now in research ethics committees, and so my focus will be mostly on the research, on the ethical considerations in research. However, we'll touch on other aspects as well. Generally speaking, we have agreed in the field of ethics, or bioethics specifically, that there are certain standards that we need to make sure that humans are respected and treated ethically, whatever ethically means, and we'll discuss that as we go on in our discussion. We need to make sure that by our interventions, by the research that we are conducting, we are not basically causing more harm than benefit, and that the rights of the people are respected. But this is like general idea of having why do you need to care about ethics? Because there is power imbalance, if you think about it. Between the doctor and the patient, there is power imbalance. Between the researcher and the research participant, there is a power imbalance. And this power imbalance becomes even more aggravated in armed conflicts, because people in armed conflicts, and we discuss it perhaps later on as we go, what makes armed conflicts specific, a kind of like a specific context that needs its own lenses through which we look at things. First is that the armed conflicts cause damages at different layers, at different levels. One of them is about the societal structure, the infrastructure, and we have seen this unfortunately for what's happening in Gaza, what's happening now in Sudan, and many parts of the world, unfortunately. So what happens is there's a complete destruction of the infrastructure. The basic needs like water, like food, the access to these basic rights are affected, which means that those who are affected by the armed conflicts are more vulnerable position, which means that there are more power imbalances between when I come as a researcher or the humanitarian worker or as a clinician or in any capacity. People are in need, which means that I am in a position to force the people to accept things that they would not accept otherwise. So, and this what makes perhaps the talking about ethics or the ethical considerations in armed conflicts is perhaps more important, or humanitarian settings in general, is perhaps as important or more important even when you talk about the importance of applying ethical standards and moral reasoning to our practice as researchers, as care providers, as well. So this is perhaps the importance of talking about ethical considerations in armed conflict.